Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Sundried Kawo Kamina Natural Processed Ethiopia from Roseline Coffee Roasters. And there's the cup right there. And Roseline, based out of Portland, Oregon, and they're a coffee roaster that's featured on this channel several times before, including last year when we did a blind taste test rankings video of their sample pack, and that included one of their coffees, the Los Huachipiles, which finished in our top 10 coffees of 2021 list. So it's safe to say anytime I'm out in Portland, they're probably my top spot to go to, actually, as they're probably my favorite coffee roaster in Portland, if not one of my favorite coffee roasters in the United States, as I've been really impressed with them for a number of years. There was a coffee shop back in Denver that used to serve their coffee pretty regularly, and that was always a terrific opportunity for me to try a lot of their offerings. So any opportunity I get to discuss them is an opportunity I will gladly take. But this coffee is a really fun one, as it was suggested to us by Sun Lives, so shout out to and thank you to Sun Lives for the suggestion. And what really caught our interest about this coffee was that it was a natural processed coffee. Now, Roseline is one of those coffee roasters that focuses heavily on their wash process, so I've never seen them offer a natural processed coffee before. Granted, I don't keep up with them as much as I should, but even with that, everything I've ever had from them has been a wash processed coffee. But given how highly Sun Lives was raving about this coffee, I knew I had to give this one a shot if it was on their menu. So I'm looking very forward to discussing this one. And let's go ahead and discuss it. So Roseline is on the lighter side of American coffee roasters, and I've had some people tell me that Roseline's kind of pushing it for them, but I'll call them a light American for the roast profile. This right here was done with a pour over machine. So it was their pour over offering, and I knew I had to get it. Their other offering was a drip Kenya, which also caught my interest, and might review, or I might try that one off video, because I still love trying anything I can from Roseline. But yeah, the coffee shop has been around for a little bit now. I remember coming the month it first opened. I didn't know that they had actually opened it, and I just happened to stumble upon it while I was in the area. There's a Kova down the street, there's an upper left, there are a lot of coffee shops in this area. So happened to walk past it and stopped by, and was really excited to see that Roseline had finally opened a coffee shop. But yeah, let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee itself. So I don't quite recall what they had on their flavor notes. I know coconut was one of them, and I think melon was the other one. Plum. There you go. Those were the three flavor notes that they had listed on here. And of course, I already made a tasting wheel before I started this recording, and I could definitely say that what's really crept up on me as this coffee has cooled down has been some wonderful candy-like sweetness, most notably the caramel, that brown candy, which was very much present in the Huachipiles. I think we have it listed at a 3 on the tasting wheel, but as it has cooled down, you could definitely ramp that up to a level 4. Somehow it's become the most prominent flavor note in this cup of coffee. Initially, it was a very kind of rich, dark stone fruit, which they had that plum list on here. Yeah, it was very much present. And I've had so many coffees that remind me a lot of coconut, and this one, it had that in a slight bit of a background characteristic to this cup of coffee. So it wasn't as prominent or present as I was necessarily expecting, but even then, I kind of like the way coconut tastes in coffee. It's a real big selling point to me, and I've already mentioned how much I love stone fruits in coffees. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. Let me go ahead and put up our brand new wine notes so I can take a look at it. And I know we had quite a few level 4s, so let's go through them real quick. Sweetness, level 4. It's on the higher side of that level 4, I would even say. It's a very sweet cup of coffee. Finish, level 4. It does have a lot of the more traditional, old school, natural characteristics in that sense. So most notably that very lively stone fruit, which we also have at a level 4. Earlier on, it was by far the most dominant characteristic. As it has cooled down, it's still very much present, but it's a little bit more subtle in the background, but definitely still quite pronounced in this cup. Cleanliness, level 4. That's probably the big thing we should talk about, and that's what I saw on their website for the listing of this coffee, was they really wanted to emphasize how clean this coffee was, and that's why they even went with purchasing a natural processed coffee. It's a pretty clean cup of coffee, especially the more it has cooled down, the more I can understand bumping this all the way up to a level 4. Initially at the warmer temperatures, it was probably pushing it on the lower side of the level 4, but it's definitely justified right there at that level 4 spot. Anything else? We mentioned the caramel at level 3 could be bumped up to a level 4. Yeah. Acidity, level 3. I don't think that's too surprising. Kind of mentioned that they are on the lighter side of things, but I always said don't mind the acidity if it's at least in equal parts to the sweetness, which is pretty high. Berry fruit, level 4. So melon, technically a berry fruit. Initially, it was reminding me a fair bit of, what's the orange melon? I believe that one's, I can never remember. I think that's the cantaloupe. I think it reminded me more of cantaloupe than honeydew, but you could definitely see a fair bit of melon in this as well. So do I have that? Yeah, I have it at a level 4. probably a little generous, lower side of that level 4, higher side of a level 3. Slight bit of citrus in this cup of coffee. Body, lighter bodied cup of coffee. I think that was to be expected given the brew method of this coffee. Anything else worth noting? I think for the most part, that's about it. There are a fair bit of florals, underrated florals in this cup of coffee. Not too surprising given that it is an African coffee. Overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. I really like it. That's not too surprising. It's very much my cup of coffee. And I've always said that if we're going a little bit back in time to when our naturals were a little bit more clean and very vibrant in the fruits, then I'm very much going to enjoy them. I think this is a bag of coffee that I would enjoy working through entirely as opposed to just having a single cup of this coffee. So there's a chance I might go back and purchase an entire bag of this coffee and maybe drink it for myself if I get the opportunity to. But this is a real nice cup of coffee, and it could probably be my favorite cup of coffee while I'm out here in Portland. And again, not too surprising, I think Roseline's amazing, and they've never served me a cup of coffee that I have been underwhelmed by. I think they're amazing. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to, old school. Think the cleaner fruits, especially those dark plums. That's what's nice, and great sweetness. I mean, it's my cup of coffee. Clean, sweet, fruity, floral. Not too surprising how much I enjoyed this cup of coffee. So if you're that type of person, lighter profiled for American coffees, this is a great fit for you. But for the most part, I think I'm going to leave this review at that. If you've by chance had an opportunity to try any of Roseline's coffees, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of them as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Sundried Kawo Kamina Natural Processed Ethiopia from Roseline Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching.